The fall semester is halfway over and some students decided to celebrate with a night away from the stress of schoolwork. Coming up, we'll show how a couple of student organizations came together to offer Red Raiders some free seasonal fun.
The presidential election may be stealing the national political headlines, but a race here in the Lone Star State is making a lot of Texans think twice before casting their vote in November. Kiley Phillips will be in studio with that story and more in this week's edition of the MCTV's Inside the Issues.
And Texas Tech football is off the schedule this week, but that doesn't mean that there isn't plenty of action still in store for the weekend. MCTV's Rico Holland has a look at several Red Raider teams hoping to steal the spotlight between now and Sunday in sports.
This is the MCTV Weekday Update.
Welcome to the Thursday edition of the MCTV Weekday Update. I'm Lindsey Maxon.
And I'm Joanna Guererro. This week marks the official midpoint of the fall 2024 semester. And for many students, the last couple of weeks have included midterm exams and projects.
With that in mind, one campus group recently gave Red Raiders a chance to get off campus and enjoy a night of seasonal activities. Adeldew Farms is the site of the one and only corn maze found in the South Plains area. Every fall, thousands of people stop by the local attraction, including many Texas Tech students. And last night, the Student Activities Board and the Residence Hall Association gave Red Raiders an opportunity to enjoy everything the farm has to offer. Students with a Tech ID could board a bus to get to the maze, and from there, they could enjoy lots of free fun, all courtesy of the SAB and RHA.
It gets the students outside of just campus, so it gets them to the neighboring areas where they might not have been already able to go.
Along with getting lost in the corn maze, students could also enjoy a hayride, check out the animals in the barnyard, and take a walk through Pumpkin Hollow, or enjoy s'mores at one of the several campfires. Yesterday's free event was one of the last activities before SAB and RHA helped coordinate one of the biggest celebrations of the year. Texas Tech's homecoming festivities kick off the next Monday here on campus and continue throughout the week with a series of daily events. Next week's calendar includes everything from the kickoff on Monday to So Sing on Tuesday to the parade, pep rally, and bonfire on Friday. To finish off the week, for a full schedule of everything planned for this year's celebration, check out homecoming.ttu.edu.
With the semester halfway through, many students are also starting to think about where they'll end up after the fall, especially if they are graduating in December. Several groups across campus have already offered their students a chance to learn about job opportunities. And yesterday, another college joined the list. The College of Agricultural Sciences and Natural Resources held the Davis College Job Fair yesterday in the Sub Ballroom. The event was similar to several previous career fairs held this semester, giving attendees the chance to meet with dozens of potential employers. But yesterday's fair was specifically geared to students in the Davis College Casnier majors could learn about full and part-time job opportunities, along with internships available across the ag industry. Underclassmen also had the chance to network and make valuable connections that could benefit them as they explore their future careers. The Davis College Job Fair is held each year during the fall semester.
If you aren't graduating this fall, there are tons of academic opportunities to explore before registration starts for the 2025 spring semester and summer sessions. But not all of those opportunities are here on campus or even in the United States. On Monday, Texas Tech held the annual Study Abroad Fair in the Sub Ballroom. The doors opened at 10 a.m. and from there, students could come through and discover different study abroad programs and talk to representatives from across the university. Attendees were given a bag with the logo for their college and then looked for tables with corresponding balloons to know which study abroad program they could explore. Molly Bellew with the TTU Study Abroad went to Sevilla, Spain last summer and highly recommends the program.
And it was awesome. I loved it. There was a bunch of Spanish kids there, so if you want to go for a Spanish major, you could too. But yeah, it was awesome. I would recommend it to anybody who could.
Monday's Study Abroad Fair was the first major event scheduled for International Week 2024. The Office of International Affairs has offered several options for the students this week, with the biggest event coming up this weekend. Culture Fest 2024 is scheduled on Saturday from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the International Cultural Center. The annual event gives the international student groups the opportunity to show off their culture by offering attendees the chance to sample foods, check out arts and crafts, and even enjoy dances and other entertainment. For more information on the International Week 2024 and this weekend's Culture Fest, visit international.ttu.edu and click on the International Week link on the front page.
A statewide race for U.S. Senator is heating up. The presidential candidates continue to make headlines, and a recent strike came to a quick end after causing panic at stores across the country.
Kiley Phillips joins us with a look at all of those stories in this week's edition of MCTV's Inside the Issues. Kiley?
Thanks, Lindsay and Joanna. The past week has been full of political moments that have made national headlines. Here's a look inside of this week's top political stories. A Texas Senate seat could be up for grabs as the race between incumbent Senator Ted Cruz and Congressman Colin Allred narrows. Political analytics website 538 reports that Cruz leads the polls by only 3 points, and at certain times throughout the month, Allred has pushed in front. Experts say the election is simply going to come down to which candidate can pull in moderate-leaning voters. Cruz and Allred are set to debate in less than a week on October 15th. Vice President Kamala Harris recently appeared on a popular podcast, Call Her Daddy. The podcast is known for hosting A-list celebrities and discussing everything from relationships and romance to mental health. The 45-minute episode largely focused on women's and reproductive rights.
To receive the care she needs, she's going to probably have to get right back on that plane because she's got those kids. Her best friend's probably not with her because that's who's taking care of the kids. To get back in that TSA line, to get back on a plane, to go home.
Critics describe host Alex Cooper's podcast as raunchy and an easy interview for Harris. On social media, Cooper released a video defending her decision to interview the vice president.
Daddy Gang, I went to Washington, D.C. to interview Vice President Kamala Harris. As you guys know, I do not usually discuss politics or have politicians on this show because I want Call Her Daddy to be a place that everyone feels comfortable tuning in.
Harris also has faced backlash for appearing on the podcast while parts of the country are dealing with the damages from Hurricane Helene. Former President Donald Trump and Vice President Harris held memorial services to honor the victims of last year's attack on Israel. October 7th marked 1 year since Hamas led an attack that triggered the war in Gaza. Vice President Harris honored the victims with planting a memorial tree at the Naval Observatory in Washington, D.C. And former President Trump visited a Jewish holy site in New York where he held a remembrance event. 100 hostages are still missing, and Israel military leaders say there is no end in the near future. The dock workers that took part in the port strike last week reach a pay deal. After a 3-day strike, International Longshoremen's Association and the United States Maritime Alliance agreed to a $4 an hour increase. The tentative deal also includes an annual raise at that $4 rate for 6 years. And an estimated 50,000 union members protested, causing a 4-day supply chain delay. The Port Authority of New York and New Jersey estimate that each port experienced around $1 billion of loss. If the deal does not pass through a vote by union members, the strike could likely start again. I'm Kiley Phillips giving you a look inside of this week's issues. Back to you, Joanna.
Thanks, Kiley. As Kiley just mentioned, one race that's getting a lot of attention here in Texas is the U.S. Senator spot that will be on November's ballot. Current Senator Ted Cruz is familiar to many Texans since he's held the seat since 2013. But if you're not as familiar with his opponent, you have a chance to change that this weekend. Democratic candidate Colin Allred will be bringing his campaign to the Texas Tech campus this weekend. Allred is scheduled to appear in the Sub Red Raider Lounge on Saturday starting at noon. Allred is a current congressman here in the state, but he previously played for the Tennessee Titans football team as a linebacker. The event is called an offense huddle, playing off of Allred's former profession. The event website for Allred's TTU appearance invites the university community to hear more about the campaign and find out how Allred plans to defeat Cruz in the November election. If you plan to attend this weekend's campaign rally, you can sign up through the link listed on your screen.
If you've been outside during the day much this week, you know that it's been feeling a bit hot to be the third week of fall.
Warm conditions have been the norm through October so far, but is that about to change? Chief Weather Specialist Elisabeth Herring joins us now in the studio with details on some big changes that could be headed our way in the MCTV forecast. Elisabeth?
Thanks, Joanna. Well, that's certainly right. We have seen some warm temperatures. It's actually been even warmer this week than it was last week. Last week's highs stayed mostly in the upper 80s. This week we've seen lower 90s, and later this week we could see upper 90s and even reach 100 degrees in some areas of the South Plains. Yesterday we reached a high of 95 degrees, just 1 degree short of our 96 degree record, only set back in 2021, so not that long ago. And if you think you've been feeling warmly, you are correct. It's been unseasonably warm here in the South Plains. Normally we're right around 78 degrees, so we're about 15 degrees above that norm, and it's going to get even higher this weekend. However, it looks like we might have a cool off coming for us later next week. As we look at tonight's temperatures off the Cap Rock, 60s, lower 60s, Snyder 62, Jayden 61, Spur 60, up Endemic cooler with a low of 53, Plainview 54, out in Littlefield 55 with partly cloudy skies. As we look at tomorrow, another warm one, a beautiful orange and red map. Snyder 94, Jayden, y'all better watch out. Y'all could see 100-degree temperatures tomorrow with a high of 97. Spur 96, Turkey, Matador both 96 as well. Demet hanging out in the lower 90s with a high of 92. Plainview 91 and mostly sunny skies. As we take a look at tonight here locally in Lubbock, low of 60. Tomorrow, warming back up once again with a high of 94 degrees. As we take a look at our weekend, those of you wanting the summer weather to stick around, you are in for a treat. Saturday, high of 97 with sunny skies, so we know what that means here in the South Plains. We could potentially see 100 degrees. Sunday cooling off just a bit, but staying in the 90s with a high of 93. And now, I don't know about y'all, but I know I am ready for some fall weather, and that is coming our way finally Monday. We are going to see a cool front move in the area with a high of 86. Tuesday, cooling down even more with a high of 79. Wednesday, 80. Thursday, 84. So next week, sticking around in the upper 70s, lower 80s with lows in the lower 50s. While our forecast is saying that next week highs in the lower to mid 80s with lows in the lower 50s. Some forecasts are saying that we could see lows down to 40 degrees and our highs more like the 70-degree range. So I'm excited for that. And just remember before you head out for class next Monday to check your weather, because you might need something a little bit more than a light jacket as you head out the door. I'm Elizabeth, and it's back to Joanna and Lindsey.
Thanks, Elizabeth. Texas Tech football has been stealing the headlines since the beginning of the season, but there won't be much to report about the team this week.
With football taking advantage of a bye week, several other Red Raider athletes are in the spotlight. MCTV's Rico Holland joins us with the details on their accomplishments and the rundown of Texas Tech athletics' upcoming schedule in sports. Rico?
Thanks, Joanna and Lindsey. Texas Tech fans have plenty to look forward to this weekend as a pair of Red Raider teams are set to compete at home in Lubbock this weekend, including soccer and volleyball, while cross country will be right down the road for the upcoming meet. On that note, Tech Cross Country is set to compete in the final of 3 meets in Hobbs at the New Mexico Junior College Invite this Friday. The Red Raiders most recently competed in the Joe Pine Invite in South Bend, Indiana, where a pair of sophomore Red Raiders stood out in the meet. On the women's side, Juliet Cherbout finished second overall with their personal best time of 16 minutes and 3 seconds in the 5K. On the men's side, Ernest Cherbout claimed the top spot, running his personal best time of 22 minutes and 20 seconds in a field of over 150 runners. For his performance last weekend, Cherbout was named the USTFCAA National Athlete of the Week Monday afternoon. He's the first Red Raider to receive that honor since 2016. He was also named the Big 12 Runner of the Week for the second time this season. Switching to the pitch, the number 24 ranked Red Raider soccer team will look to win their 5th straight home matchup this season as they take on Colorado and Iowa State this weekend. The upcoming matchups will finish off a 3-game homestand, which has been very kind to the Red Raiders, including their most recent 1-0 victory over Baylor. The Red Raiders have won 19 straight home matches and 23 conference matchups to date. Tech will take on the Colorado Lady Buffs later on tonight at 7 p.m. before taking on the Iowa State Cyclones for Senior Day at 1 p.m. on Sunday. Both games will be available to stream on ESPN+. It's probably been nice for Red Raider fans to soak in the fact that Tech currently sits atop the Big 12 standings following a 3-0 start to conference play after a 21-19 win over Arizona. At the same time, it'll be weird this week not being able to watch any Red Raider football on a Saturday. While the Red Raiders aren't the only team in the Big 12 without a loss currently, they do have the most wins. BYU, Colorado, Iowa State, and West Virginia all sit at 2-0. After this weekend's matchups, only 3 of those teams can potentially remain undefeated in conference play, as Iowa State and West Virginia will face off against one another. Either way, Tech gets to get some rest and recovery, and Red Raider fans can kick back, relax, and wait in anticipation for the next week as they take on Baylor. While there may not be any football action going on this Saturday, Red Raider volleyball has it handled as they look to bounce back with a win at home. Tech dropped its most recent matchup against Colorado on the road in a competitive 5-set match. They will look for a more favorable result this time as they take on the number 13 ranked Arizona State Sun Devils at home at the United Supermarkets Arena. Playing at home has been a strength for the Red Raiders this season as they ride a 4-game win streak at the USA this season. The Red Raiders are currently at 1-3 in conference play and 9-7 overall, and they will take on Arizona State at noon on Saturday. The game will be available to stream on ESPN+. That's all for the latest in Texas Tech sports. With action going on nearly every day this weekend, it's sure to keep Red Raider fans busy. Now back to you, Joanna and Lindsey.
Thanks, Rico. So, Lindsey, do you have any big weekend plans, or are you still working through midterms?
I'm going to Dallas to watch the OU Texas football game. What about you?
I have some big exams coming up, so I'll be studying at the Tech Library.
Well, good luck.
Thank you. That's all for today's edition of the MCTV Weekday Update.
Thanks so much for joining us, and be sure to check ttuhub.net every day for more news. We'll see you next week.